Happy Friday.
Good morning, Double Deuce. Welcome to Commander's Call. We'll jump right in with our next slide. So we've got upcoming squadron events. We've got Burger Burn today from 1100 to 1300. Heritage Huddle at 1422. Muley Day coming up next week, Thursday, 22 April. Following that, on the 23rd of April, we've got Squadron Photo. So plan on being here at 0900 to head out over to the flight line for a 0930 picture taking time for the Squadron Photo. Make sure you're here, make sure you're looking good, get that fresh cut. And spring fling, we got spring fling, we got Saturday, 24 April. More on that in just a minute. Upcoming holidays, family days, Memorial Day, May 22nd. Hacking the Mish, we got Joey's crew, Jan's crew, Logan's crew, and Buster's crew out on the road. Joey's in Spain right now, and then we got Logan's crew and Buster's crew are getting ready. They should have been headed out this morning. We heard they got off the ground. We'll talk about it. Cool. And then we got Jan's crew over in Binger. So for the morale events, we got the Spring Fling. When is it? It's Saturday, April 24th. Mark your calendars, 1 to 5 o'clock at Travisville Park. It's going to be fun. There's going to be food and there's going to be games. PFC is First Lieutenant Franchette. If you've got any questions. Got some mandatory GTC training, everybody's favorites. You should have an email in your inbox from about 2 weeks ago that you probably didn't read from DTS talking about how you need to get this done and send this over to Christina. So make sure you go back. If you just search GTC, it'll be your first email in your inbox most likely. Go ahead and knock this out. I did it yesterday. It takes about 10 minutes. And then send your certificate as well as your statement of understanding over to Christina so she can keep that on file. Keeping it rolling, pass it over to Captain Vaughn.
Hey y'all, just a quick plug for the DOC survey. So on 7 April last week, Colonel Trumbull sent out an email to the squadron for this DOC. It's the organizational climate survey that the group is putting on right now. So it's completely voluntary, but it is also completely anonymous. So it's one of those things that can only help. You can write your thoughts about how the squadron is doing, how the group is doing, and then those things will be like briefed up all the way up to the chain of command. So like I said, completely voluntary, but also completely anonymous. So if you have any good thoughts, you can write them, bad thoughts as well. Check that email and it's got the, there it is. So yeah, surveysdrc.com, and then for passcode, that'll take us to the 22nd portion of it, and it's open until 22nd April. So if you guys can give that a shot, like I said, voluntary, but it's one of those things.
For the other one, that think there's two recently that came out, or is it just the one?
Yeah.
What
do you mean?
Well, they both came up. There was another one that came out under DOC, right? There was a like a diversity survey, I think it was.
That's
Okay,
different.
but that's sort of different from the diversity.
Yeah, I guess
survey.
I'm not familiar.
Okay.
Yeah, completely separate.
All right, so next we got superintendent.
Morning. So just some quick admin notes. Senior airmen, EPRs are out for signatures right now with the Raiders. So if you're a staff sergeant, tech sergeant, check the VPC for that. Sports. So Sergeant Figueroa is doing the intramural sporting. So softball, tennis, golf. Hit Sergeant Fig up, and the first softball practice is when?
Tomorrow, 11 o'clock, American Field, right by Fan Camp. Come on out, hit some balls, run around, laugh, joke, have a good time.
Yep. And Sergeant Wiggers, Lieutenant Forlaney, those are our tennis pros in the squadron. So, so get your sporting on. And then finally, the GoFundMe for Sergeant Pyle raised $2,966. So, you know, in true Muley fashion, right? Operate the best, care the most. So thanks to everybody that donated. The people that actually went out there, Colonel Trumbull got it so the unit would be funding it. So that money is now going to go to Sergeant Pyle's kids for their college education. So again, thank you for supporting that cause, and have a great weekend.
All right, next up, we got First Shirt.
All right, good morning, Muleys. How's everyone doing? All right, so just a quick plug, right? I don't want to be the bad guy. I don't want to beat the dead horse or anything, but right. So we're not out of the woods with COVID yet, right? Like I'm looking around the room right now. I see some people with their masks down, right? So obviously, you guys are probably tracking the CDC released guidance for vaccinated personnel in the same room with other vaccinated personnel. Coming from the command chief and wing leadership, the DoD guidance has not been released on that yet. So obviously, CDC guidance is out there. Public health is still saying if you are within 6 feet of someone or in a closed room with vaccinated people or non-vaccinated, you still have to wear your mask. So I'm briefing this because there has been some trends and there's been some close calls in the unit, right, that could possibly jeopardize the mission. Fortunately, it hasn't yet, but all it takes is the one time. The next thing you know, we're dropping a line or dropping a crew or something. So, and then just to follow up too, right? So ROM is 6 days along with your post-mission crew rest, unless you're directed differently, right? So please adhere to the standards. And ROM does not mean that you can leave the area. You can't go to LA. You can't run around and do whatever you want. ROM means you're on restriction of movement. You can go out, you can exercise, you can go to the store, wear your mask, pick up medication, stuff like that. But that does not mean you can leave and it's a free vacation. So please, please, please don't get put in that position, because there has been situations across space where people have had admin and legal action taken against them for breaking ROM and quarantine guidance. So do not put yourself in that position. I don't want to be in that position. And yeah, at the end of the day, it's just keeping each other safe and not jeopardizing the mission. So please just adhere to those standards. Then on a lighter note, the Diamond Club here on base is putting together a flea market that's going to be in the AFRC parking lot. It's going to be on 1 May in the morning. If you're interested in being a vendor for it, you can come see me. $20 a slot for 4 hours. PCS season, right, on a payday weekend, perfect time if you want to join. There are limited slots. There's already about 15 of the 30 slots filled up. We've been advertising for a few days. So if you're interested in being a vendor, come see me. I'll hook you up. If not, it's going to be open to everyone. You can come by, you can shop. So the goal is for people trying to just sell stuff like a garage sale, kind of like a centralized garage sale, or if you have a spouse or one of you guys have like a small business you want to bring out and promote. So yeah, just come see me if you're interested, and I'll get this flyer up on Slack too. And other than that, everyone just be safe, look out for each other, and have a good weekend.
Sweet, thanks, sir. All right, next up, we got Major Fernandez.
Thanks, sir, for being the bad guy, so I don't have to be. Great to see all your faces on Friday. Colonel Trumbull is in Oklahoma City, honoring Staff Sergeant Pyle at his memorial. It's Ops Week, so I'll address the local here in a little bit. It's Ops Week, so I have the great pleasure. I always love this part, right, is talking about the awesome things you guys do on the road. first up, I'm going to talk about the ops tempo, right? Because you guys have seen on the news, President Biden has decided to withdraw all troops from Afghanistan. So open source, this is 2,500 troops, and then depending on what news source you read, they're saying that's 1,000 lower than what it actually is, right? So 3,500, and then you've got NATO troops. So there's north of 10,000 troops that need to get out of there by September. And you know what we do best, right, is move heavy equipment out of there. Just realize too, the front end, usually they back up the forces that are on the ground with additional forces. So expect more forces to actually go in to help the folks that are on the ground. So that is a very distinct possibility here in the next 3 to 5 months for us to be extremely busy. We haven't had more than 5 missions on the road really in the last year, but we are capable of sending many more if maintenance can cooperate and actually generate the tails. What does that mean, right? That means being ready. That means after this all call, going to check your ITS, opening your IMR to make sure that your PHA isn't going to be due here in the next few weeks, and knocking that out and getting that scheduled. All right. For those of you who would like to get the vaccine and you haven't had the chance to do so, sign up and go do that. Again, still absolutely voluntary for you to do this. So just be ready, physically, mentally, emotionally. Get your family stuff in order as well, right? Because who's been on a stage before? Who's been on a C5 stage? So that number, right, is getting lower and lower. Kurt and Cole, if you saw the hands that went up behind you, it was only about probably 20%, right? Whereas a year or two ago, almost the entire squadron would have had their hand raised. So that's a demanding thing on your family, right? Where you could be gone for 30 or more days. So please be ready in all the ways that you can be. Before we roll onto some other slides here, I just want to call out the March MSTT crew. I'm a big guy with raising hands. So who's done an MSTT before? Pretty good. It's a pretty good deal, right? Unless I guess you're an unqualified loadmaster. I think the last crew, the pilots and the FEs get to go do some skiing in Colorado Springs. So that's pretty sweet. However, the actual work that was done, right? The sweat that went into this by the instructor loadmasters and the students, 7 training days, 15 loading operations, 228 syllabus items completed across 7 unqualified loadmaster students. That's just incredible. So a round of applause for the folks. I'll just call out the crew members because I'm here to call people out for doing awesome things. Shoney Calico, Ali, Bennett, Pennington, Parr, Collins, Waters, Vance Green, Lozano, McDonald, Ash, Morris, Miller, and Garcia. That's a huge crew knocking out the job of a formal training unit at an operational flying squadron. So great job to the training team, to the tactics team for planning all this stuff. You guys are amazing. Slide. All right, this story just keeps getting more and more love, right? So the Women's History Month PAC channel, crewed by Danny Duncan Hawk Forlini, Castro, Bomey, Clark, Houts, is it Houts or Hoots? I hear both. Love, Lewis, Thomas Connor. So a Total Force crew with reserve folks. We're the only squadron in the OG to send a mission out crewed by all females, including the flying crew chief. So round of applause for these guys. For the local that Captain Potts flew was fun, but I think they had more fun in Hawaii.
I'm sure they did.
Yeah, they did hit a lot of birds, right? Next slide. All right, so you get the video teed up? I do. Okay, you can go ahead and tee that up while I'm talking. So there's another crew we had on a PAC channel. Who's been to Pendleton? Raise their hand. 6,000-foot runway. Pretty spicy, right? 6,006 feet of runway. This video pops up. You can hit play. All right. 6,006 feet of runway. 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 6, And I want to love from our joint partners, Army, Navy, Marine. So they swapped out 2 of these helicopters, flew to Japan, and brought 2 ones back home. I bring the specific one up, right? Because it's got it's extremely short runway, right? And this is going to play into the agile combat employment concept, right? We need to get better at getting in and out of these short runways and quickly, right? So that's not just the pilots landing in the zone and validating the toll, but it requires everybody else, right? The engineers to have good coordination with the load masters with our offloading and onboarding operations. You see when that thing rotated? Pretty freaking incredible. That's awesome. All right. I'll stop calling names out because that group's pretty large. So, but Wiggers was on that group. Next slide.
Is the Judas satellite, you want to roll that into the video?
Sure. You can lower the volume too. It's kind of all right, Chris Roniman, are you in the house? Chris was the AC on this, my go-to space instructor for those of you young co-pilots and young ACs, right? That's something to aspire to, right? Is to be able to be trusted with this billion-dollar payload and delivering it safely to our Space Force partners. Chris, you got any other details for us on this besides the Cerberus GO5?
No, yeah, so that's.
We won't play your landing.
So that one specifically is the number 5 satellite out of the Cerberus. So basically, how this kind of plays in. You remember when Syria started launching missiles at us over in Baghdad?
Yeah, well, we're on the same
Over there, right? And this is on classes all publicized too. But these satellites is the constellation that actually deals with picking up signatures and stuff like that for missile defense.
Awesome. Round of applause for these guys. Some ops admin stuff. So Apex, and you guys can chime in if I say anything wrong, but Apex will be suspended at all AMC locations with an aerial port. So what does that mean for us? That probably means a lot more thrash, especially for the load masters. However, it does mean, right, that your young MLs aspiring to be primaries will get a lot more touch points, right, as you transit through the AMC Emirates system. D'Amico, I just saw D'Amico, give me an eye roll. Sorry, man. So this is going to happen through the end of July. Again, it's an effort, right, to keep throwing resources at our loadmaster backlog and get you guys trained up and, more importantly, seasoned to the point where you can be an instructor one day. Next thing is the transition to puckboard. Who got the email from Harry about puckboard? So you're probably like, what the hell is puckboard? So again, I sent this email out to the pilots, the engineers on loads really didn't get this. But 15 months ago, we were scheduling with magnetic puckboard and dry erase markers and putting names on a rolling whiteboard, and we'd take a picture of it and send it out to all the schedulers. So COVID happened, and that's when the Google Sheet OpsNext was born. We've taken a lot of risk with that in terms of OPSEC, so we've had to get creative with what we put on there. And we can't be as open with the information on there. So puckboard allows us to increase the security, the same as you would log into your computer, but you can do it on your personal device. You can see every mission that's out there. You can see every ground training event that's out there as well. And you can also volunteer for things, right? So if you see Sebring class, you can go ahead and click it, and schedule will see that, that you have requested a specific event. We're still working through that process, right? So please be patient during the transition, but it should be fairly seamless for you. I am putting this grenade on Major Logan's lap. We'll be taking over in about 3 weeks or so. So I know he's loving that. DEOX was already covered, but the boss wanted a foot stomp. It took me about, I'm not gonna lie to you, it took me like 15 minutes to knock it out. So if you don't have more than that today, please try to block out at least that amount of time to knock it out. I believe we should already be above the threshold because we needed one more and I knocked it out last night. So I shouldn't have said that. 'Cause now nobody's gonna do it. Let's see. Okay. The flyover for Sergeant Pyle. So I'm sure some of you have already known, like Major Logan's in the room, he was the AC on the flyover. Why is he here? Well, the weather in Oklahoma City is just not cooperating. Ceilings are down 500 feet, overcast, and the crew is supposed to fly over 3,000 feet. So do the quick math, that's just not going to work, and it's not going to be safe with the crew. So Colonel Trumbull's on the ground with the chief, and the front is just a stationary front. There's really no chance that it's going to move. So Colonel Trumbull made the call as the boss to call off the flyover to preserve the integrity of the crew, the crew's safety. Sometimes we do flyovers right in the weather. If the engine is allowed. The problem is like we don't have the TF-39s anymore, right? But the CF-6s are quiet. Nobody's going to hear it at 3,000 feet. So even that roar was not really a possibility. I do want to let everybody know, though, that we will have a flyover for Sergeant Pyle here locally. So there will be a memorial that's being planned. I believe there's going to be in the hangar, one of the hangars, correct? And then we'll crew a local to go do the flyover. That'll be our last opportunity to say farewell to Sergeant Pyle with Fred. So all is not lost with today's cancellation. And then slide. So this is the contingency mission leaving today. The crew has hung this flag in honor of Sergeant Pyle, and they're going to fly it all the way down range and back to honor him in place of the local that was canceled today. So that's awesome. Please spend time today reflecting in your own way, right? We're each going to reflect on our own capacities about Zach's life. So please take some time and do that today, and continuously do that, and do that with the double deuce family. Does anybody have any questions before we are released for Friday to your flight commanders? All right, thanks, team. Continue on. 21 minutes. What's up?